When I needed you, you became a memory. When I needed you most desperately, you faded into echoes and silence. My hands reached only cold air. Promises dissolved before touching reality. Night listened while I learned absence. The moon watched me grieve quietly. I called your name into darkness. It returned softer each passing night. Your voice lived only in memory. Comfort replaced by unanswered questions. I stayed awake, hoping for miracles. Hope learned patience through repeated disappointment. When I needed reassurance, you vanished, leaving me to gather myself alone. I stitched strength from broken moments, taught my heart survival without witnesses. Love became something I carried silently. Pain matured into quiet understanding. I replayed moments searching for clarity, wondering where connection slowly unraveled. Your laughter stayed vivid yet unreachable, like stars too distant to touch. I smiled, remembering while hurting deeply, missing you without knowing where you went. When I needed warmth, memory arrived, offering fragments instead of presence. Your absence taught resilience harshly. I learned to hold myself gently, crying without expecting rescue anymore. Healing began when expectations finally rested. The moon became my quiet companion, listening without interrupting my sorrow. Night wrapped me in honest solitude. I whispered truths I hid before, somewhere between tears and acceptance. I stopped waiting for your return. When I needed you, you were gone, but I was still here breathing, learning. Love does not always stay, and loss does not erase worth. I carry lessons instead of resentment. Memory soften, head into something survivable. Now, when night feels heavy again, I sit calmly with passing emotions. Your absence no longer defines me. It simply marks a chapter closed. I thank the moon for witnessing growth, and myself for choosing to continue. Some nights, memory knocks unexpectedly again. I answer, knowing nothing returns back. Your absence feels louder during need. Silence teaches lessons presence never taught. I sit beneath, patient, watching moon, letting tears fall without explanation now. When pain arrives, memory offers fragments, not enough to heal fully alone. I grieve what existed and imagined. Both losses deserve equal, gentle mourning. You live inside habits I formed, songs, streets, jokes, carrying your shadow. Needing you revealed my hidden dependencies. Loving you taught me self reliance. That lesson arrived wrapped in loss. I would not choose but accept. Now I show up for myself, offering comfort you could not give. The moon witnesses my quiet progress. Grief loosens grip night by night. When I needed you most then, you became memory, and I survived. That truth hurts but strengthens me. I carry scars without bleeding now. Love did not abandon me completely. It changed shape and location inward. I still miss you, sometimes quietly, but I no longer disappear myself. Memory stays while life continues forward. The moon nods understanding without judgment. Some evenings ache without warning now. I breathe through waves of missing. Your name drifts like distant light. I let it pass gently onward. Needing you taught me endurance quietly. I learned staying present saves lives, even when hearts feel utterly abandoned. Ed, I choose myself during lonely hours. Memory visits but no longer commands. I greet it kindly, then release. The moon still keeps my secrets. Night understands grief without explanations offered. I sit with sorrow until softened. Tears fall, then finally rest quietly. When I needed you most before, I found strength growing unexpectedly inside. Loss carved space for gentler love, a love that stays with me. I walk forward carrying earned calm. Moonlight nods as witness again softly. Some mornings still echo your absence. I wake carrying unanswered quiet questions. Memory stretches between heartbeats patiently alone. When I needed you most then, you were already becoming memory slowly. I forgive the timing, not intentions. Nights taught me self-holding skills. I learned warmth from inner fires. The moon stayed when others left. Grief softened into usable wisdom eventually. I stopped waiting for rescues anymore. Presence replaced promises that never arrived. I walk slower, honoring fragile healing. Memory waves come but pass now. I remain when feelings ask care. The night listens as I continue. Some nights still carry your absence. I breathe through quiet, unfamiliar loneliness. Memory returns, softer, less demanding now. When I needed you most then, you existed only inside recollection echoes. I learned to cradle myself gently. Tears became teachers, not enemies anymore. The moon kept quiet, watch nearby. I stopped begging silence for answers. Loss taught presence without conditions attached. I stay when feelings ask care. Memory visits, but no longer rules. I honor grief without drowning myself. Nights feel heavy yet survive. Vable now, I thank darkness for honesty lessons. When I needed you, you faded. I remained, breathing, learning, strength alone. Love did not leave me entirely. It transformed into inner refuge quietly. Moonlight witnesses my continued becoming softly. Some days arrive, carrying unexpected heaviness. I move through them, slowly, with awareness. Your memory surfaces without warning. Not sharp anymore, just tender. Like an old bruise, pressed gently. I pause and let it exist. When I needed you most back then, I searched everywhere for your presence. In messages that never came, in silence that offered no comfort. I learned how loud absence can be, and how strong a heart must grow. I no longer ask why you left. That question exhausted my spirit. Now I ask how I survived, and the answer is always the same. I stayed, even when I wanted to disappear. The moon still feels familiar. It watched me rebuild quietly, piece by piece, without applause. I learned to sit with myself, to listen instead of escaping, to breathe instead of breaking. Some nights I still miss you. Not the pain, just the closeness. The version of you I believed in, the future I carried alone. I let that grief pass through, without making it my home. When I needed you, you became memory. But memory didn't destroy me. It shaped me. It softened my expectations, strengthened my boundaries, and taught me what presence truly means. Now, I show up differently. For myself and for others, I choose consistency over intensity, truth over longing, peace over familiar chaos. If love comes again someday, it will meet a steadier heart, one that knows how to stay even when someone else see. Anode, one that understands loss and still believes in warmth. The moon still rises, and I am still here, breathing, healing, continuing, even after everything. Some nights feel quieter than healing. Silence sits beside me patiently. I no longer fight it anymore. We coexist without explanations now. When I needed you most deeply, I learned what absence teaches best, how longing sharpens self-awareness, how love reveals unfinished parts. I stopped romanticizing being abandoned, stopped blaming myself for waiting, stopped confusing endurance with devotion. That clarity took time and tears. The memory of you still visits, but it knocks more softly now. It does not demand my collapse. It simply reminds me I felt deeply. I let that be enough. Feeling deeply was never weakness. It meant my heart was alive, even when it broke quietly. I learned how to hold grief without letting it hollow me, how to miss without chasing, how to remember without returning. The moon still shows up, not to save me, just to witness, and somehow that is enough. I sit with myself differently now. I listen before judging, rest before fixing, feel before explaining. When I needed you, you became memory, but I became something stronger, someone who stays, someone who heals, someone who chooses herself. And even on nights it hurts again, I trust the pain will pass, because I have passed through worse, and I am still here, breathing, growing, learning, staying. The moon rises, and so do I. Some evenings arrive heavy with reflection. I sit quietly without rushing, meaning your memory passes like slow clouds, no longer storms, just weather patterns. When I needed you most honestly, I learned how alone strength forms, not loudly, not heroically, but quietly choosing to remain. I learned absence can be a teacher, not gentle but deeply clarifying. It shows where love was uneven, where hope carried more weight. I forgive myself for waiting, for believing in potential longer, for hoping silence meant processing, not choosing distance over presence. The moon still feels familiar. It never promised anything. It simply returned every night. And that consistency mattered. I rebuilt myself without announcements, without explanations owed to anyone. Piece by piece, learning boundaries. Learning rest is not failure. Some nights, grief still whispers, but it no longer controls direction. I acknowledge it, then continue, carrying tenderness without surrendering progress. When I needed you, you became memory, but memory became a mirror, showing me my capacity to love and my responsibility to protect myself. I no longer chase closure. I create it through understanding, through acceptance without bitterness, through choosing peace repeatedly. If love comes again, it will meet someone steadier, someone who knows how to stay without abandoning herself first. And even if it doesn't, I am still complete, still capable of warmth, still open but discerning. The moon rises again, and I rise with it, not because everything healed, but because I learned how to continue breathing, choosing, staying, growing quietly, intentionally, still here. Some nights still hum with your absence, but I sit with it differently, no longer trying to fill the space with imagined voices or desperate hope. When I needed you, you became memory, and that memory carved a silent lesson, how love can arrive incomplete and still teach us what is essential. I learn to cradle myself gently, to answer my own questions softly, to stay present even in longing, to let grief exist without permission. The moon watches patiently. It never judges my slow becoming. It illuminates only what is ready and shadows what needs quiet patience. I stop,